Hello everybody, welcome to your tutorial on how to produce descriptive statistics in SPSS. What I'm going to do for this little video is I'm going to go through chapter 3 here and do the practice exercises with you so that you'll have a model from which to work to do your homework, which is not these practice exercises. Make sure you read the homework assignment carefully and make sure you answer every part that I'm looking for. Alright, so step 1. I'm starting on page 22 of your text, and it says, under practice exercise, using practice data set 1 in appendix B, create a frequency distribution table for the mathematics skills scores. Determine the mathematics skill score at which the 60th percentile lies. Okay, so your first order of business is going to be to create practice data set number 1. Now, I've already done it, as you see, and you'll notice back there on page 126 where it is, there are 4 variables: sex, age, marital status, and mathematics skills. I've already entered in my values. I use 0 for male and 1 for female. Again, you know how I love the 0s and 1s. And I left age alone because it's a number, so there's no point in putting values there. For marital, single, married, and divorced are the only categories in this data, so it's the only ones I used. 1 is single, 2 is married, 3 is divorced. Now, I went through and actually gave them their proper levels of measurement. Sex is a nominal variable. Gosh, I hope you know that by now. Marital status is also nominal. Remember, you can't order them. They're not actual numbers. They're words, so they're nominal measures. Age and skill, those are actually scale or interval or ratio or whatever you want to call them. They're numbers on a scale telling you how old somebody is or how skilled they are. So that's what we've got. Now, in the data view, it should look like this. Columns of numbers. So people turned in words in here. There should never be words in your data. Your data should always be 100% numbers. The words that are attached to those numbers are here in values. Okay? So don't turn in any more words in the data. Alright. So the assignment is to, or the practice exercise is to, what did we say again? Mathematics skills. So we need to find a frequency distribution for the mathematics skills scores. And we want the percentile, so we want to find the 60th percentile of the scores. Alright. So how do we do that? We go to Analyze, and as the chapter implies, we're going to be using descriptive statistics. Now we're going to go with frequencies here because the percentile rank thing we want is located here. So we're using skill. That's our mathematics skill score, right? And let's see. We want to go to statistics. And it gives you a few things. Lots of options. It actually gives you the option to come up with a mean or a median or a mode. So let's go ahead and just for giggles here, we want to find a frequency distribution table, which this will make automatically. We want to know the 60th percentile. So let's take care of that first. What you do is you go to the percentile here, click the box, and you punch in which percentile you're looking for. So we're looking for 60. You click add. Ta-da. Okay. Now, here's where you can get your median, your mean. You can get that as well if you want. Let's go ahead and go for it. Who cares about the mode, right? Let's see, what else can we do? Let's take standard deviation. That's always fun. Doesn't matter. You click on whatever you want to click on. You can't break it, so feel free to play with it. Now, once you've done this, you continue. Is it okay? Alright, now you have some output. Now this table up here, this tells you how many variables you have. Like the way I entered mine, I guess I have two rows I need to delete. I'll get to that in a minute. But there should be 23 valid responses, right? Don't worry about the missing here. That was my mistake. I should have a mean 35.39, a median of 38, standard deviation of about 10, and the score of the 60th percentile is going to be 38. That's your answer. So the 60th percentile of math scores is a 38, a score of 38. And you look here at the cumulative percent. All right. And actually, you see 38 here, right? That's the measure. And the cumulative percent is 65, and so it's going to be somewhere in here, somewhere near here. Now it's 60 because, as you know, percentiles aren't based on cumulative percent, they're based on the distribution, so it's a slightly different number, but that's what they're getting at here. All right. Gosh. Scrolling's not going well for me today. So that's how you do it. That's the first exercise. Okay, so you've taken a measure. In this case, it's something that you can get a mean of because it's an interval level measure. But it wanted to know the percentile, and that's how you do it. You go to Analyze, Descriptives, Frequencies, and the Statistics button over to the right. That's where you find it. Okay? Alright, so that's the first exercise. I'll reset that. Get out of here. Alright, so the next one. And make sure you read your book and follow the work along with it. I know it's boring, but there's really no other way to learn this. Okay, guys? It's not exciting, it's not fun, and it's not the kind of stuff you can just mail in. You have to actually apply yourself, struggle with it, get frustrated, be bored. That's the only way to learn it. Sorry. If I could make it fun, I would. But let's do the next practice exercise on page 24. Using the same practice data set, which hopefully you've already made, create a contingency table using the crosstabs command. Now determine the number of participants in each combination of the variables sex and marital. What percentage of participants are married? What percentage of participants are male and married? Okay. So what they're asking for here, as they did in their previous examples, they want to know where these two things overlap, their sex and their marital status. So how do you do that? You go to Analyze. Now you have some options here of what you can do, but I think crosstabs, the way the book describes it, is the easiest one. So you go to Descriptives. We've already done frequencies, we've already done with this one, now we're going to a new one. Crosstabs. Now you have a choice, rows and columns, doesn't really matter. I always like to make it, if you have one measure that's got more categories, in this case marital status, I always like to make that one the rows. Just think it looks better. But again, it doesn't really matter. Now, we haven't gotten to this yet, but just so you get introduced to the idea, this is where we would have run a chi-square before, last semester, right? We would have calculated chi-square to see if there's a relationship between sex and marital status. How you do that is you click on Statistics, and you click on chi-square. Hit Continue. And let's see, we have cells, observed and expected, remember that? Sometimes it's a good idea to put that there. For obvious reasons. So let's go ahead and get some percentages, row and column, and heck, let's get total. And it's probably good enough. That's probably all we have to do. Let's do that. Hit OK. And ta-da. I always cheat and look down here at the chi-square first. This is your p-value for it, and it's above 0.05, so what we're saying is there's no relationship between sex and marital status. Now the question in your book asks about, let's see, what percentage of participants are married? Alright, so here's our married group. Okay. What percent of them are married total? That would be, make sure I'm reading this right, yes, 30.4%. This number here. So married, percent of total, because that's what the question asks. What percentage of all the participants are married? Then it asks you, what percentage of the participants are male and married? Now percent of total, that's going to be 21.7%. For women, it would be 8.7%. You add those together, you get 30.4. Come on. Enough of the double click to activate. Alright, so that's how you find it. The percent of total is where you find that answer. Let's see here. If we wanted to ask what percentage are female and divorced, 13%. Now if we wanted to ask what percentage of married people are men, percent within marital would give you 71.4. What percentage of men are married? 41.7. So that's how you read these crosstab tables. It's a little complicated, but you have to stop and ask yourself. Now the expected count, that's just to figure out if you should pay attention to the chi-square results. In this case, you probably shouldn't. But the key to understanding these is to actually read this percent within and understand what it means. So single, percent within marital, right? So within the category of, within marital, within single, 50% of the single people, see there's 12 of them, are men, and 50% are women. Okay? 6, 6, 12. Percent within sex. So, let's see here. And this is single people. So 50% within, let's see here, within the men are single. So there's a grand total of 12 men. 12 men, 6 of them are single, which gives you 50%. For the women, there's 11 women. 6 of them are single, so that gives you 54.5%. And within total, this tells you out of all 23 people, 26.1 are single women, 26.1 are single men. So pay attention to what these things mean. Don't just look at all the numbers and black out. Okay? There's a way to interpret these things, and they actually give you the words. So within marital, and they mean marital being within this particular one. Within sex, same idea. And then total. Okay? It takes a little practice. Make sure you read your chapter. And you'll have a chance to practice it on the homework. But this is how it is done. Alright, moving on. What's our next one? Our next one's on page 26. Using this same data set, obtain the descriptive statistics for the age of the participants. What is the mean, the median, the mode? What is the standard deviation? The minimum, the maximum, and the range. Well, it's all this stuff, right? Now, there's different ways to do it. Now, of course, getting all of these things in one command, they never make it that easy for you. But we'll show you how to. And let's see, they want it. What variable we're talking about again here? Age. Okay. So we go to Analyze. Now I go to Descriptives, and there's a few ways to go here. Let's go with frequencies first, interestingly enough. Go with age. Put it over here. Let's see how many of that laundry list we can get just with this particular one. Wants the mean, the median, the mode. Can do all that. Wants a standard deviation. Does it have that? Sure does. Minimum and maximum. Oh boy, we might be able to find it all here. And the range. Ta-da. It's all there. So, we don't have to go anywhere else. I thought we might have to. So, once you've got all these things clicked, let's go down the list of the question. Right? Mean, median, mode, standard deviation, min, max, range. You hit continue. And you hit OK. And there you have it. Your mean age is 29.57. Your median age is 28. The most common age was 23. You have your standard deviation. Your range is 32 years with a minimum of 18, maximum of 50. And there you go. Now remember, what does this mean? You guys might not remember this from last year. Oops. But you can tell a few things by these numbers. For example, the mean is higher than the median. What does that tell you? So you're thinking about it. Well, it tells you that the distribution is skewed slightly. It's going to be skewed slightly to the right, or positively skewed. That means there's an observation out there towards the top end, or maybe a couple of them, that have dragged the average up. Even though 50% of the score, 50% of the ages are below 28 and 50% are above, the average age is a little higher because one of those ones that's above is a little bit bigger. And if you look down here at the frequency table, you can find it. Most everybody, by the time you get up to 29 years old, it's 60% of the sample. And then you have a 35-year-old, it's a jump there, right? And these 35 and up crowd are going to be the other 40%. It's not a huge skew, mind you, but it is skewed. You have a 50-year-old in there too, dragging up the average. And that's all that it means. So it's slightly skewed, which means there's a few, there's a couple extreme observations out towards the top. Not much, but there. Let's see here. The median, we already talked about. The mode's the most common. Standard deviation. That means, we can expect, 64%, or, we can expect the empirical. 68% of the folks, one standard deviation above and below. 95% is two of them, so on and so forth. The range just means that, 50 minus 18 is 32. And that's what it tells you. So the range is 32 years, and it gives you kind of an idea of what this population looks like in terms of age, right? They're roughly 30 years old, a little less, with a couple of folks a little longer in the tooth included. The range is, from 18, which is pretty young, to 50, which is a little less young. Not really much else to say. The standard deviation isn't terribly huge, which tells you the numbers are, relatively in the same ballpark, which you could already tell because of the range. And there you go. So in order to do this again, analyze descriptives, frequencies, and then click on statistics. And just click all the boxes. All right. I believe this is the last one we're going to do. It's on page 29. Using the practice data set 1 in Appendix B, compute the mean and standard deviation of ages for each value of marital status. So it's a slightly different thing here, but not terribly hard to do. So, we're going to do analyze. Let's see here. Compare means is what we're going to do, I believe. Let's see, is that how it's done? I just have to make sure here. I believe so. Compare means. You go to means. Yes. And it'll give you this box. Dependent list and independent list. And the question asks, it wants to know means by marital status. So, let's see here. What we're going to do is we're going to put age in the dependent list, and marital status in the independent list. Now, why do they go there? SPSS isn't really too much of a stickler on textbook definitions of what is and isn't an independent variable or an independent variable. The best way to remember this is whenever I ask for an independent variable like this, think of grouping variable. Right? We're grouping the cases by marital status and then finding out the means and standard deviations from there. Okay? So the dependent list, essentially we're saying, we're looking to see if marital status predicts age, which is kind of a weird way to look at it, I know. But that's how we get the table to come out the way we want it to come out. You have options. It asks for statistics you can have. It asks for the average age. What's the mean and the standard deviation? They're already included. Mean and standard deviation. If they're not on your end, make sure you add them. You can put anything in there you want. Click OK. And there you have it. Some interesting stuff. You have single. The average age is 22.4. The married average age is 35.14. And the divorced average age is 41.25. I'll abstain from any jokes here. But what it tells you is, it gives you the standard deviations as well. But it gives you for each of these groups, the single group, the married group, and the divorced group, what the average age is, which can be useful, right? Think about if you're determining, racial differences in some kind of count measure, right? Your scale on drug use, how many, or alcohol consumption. You want to look at these differences. Well, this is how you do it. You would group it by whatever category you're comparing on, and see if the averages are different. Now, we aren't testing this. This would be an ANOVA, but we haven't gotten there yet. We're just looking to see, and again, we're describing our sample. And there you have it. Now, the end of the chapter talks about z-scores and stuff. Just skip that. Nobody cares. Okay? But you do want to know how to do these other things we've done. You will want to be able to create a frequency table and tell me a percentile rank. Okay? Again, we did that. Frequency, descriptives, frequencies, statistics, and you punch in the percentile. Okay? Here's how you get your mean, your median, your mode, your standard deviation, minimum, maximum. All this stuff is located here. Then we ask for the crosstab, slightly different set of buttons. Analyze, descriptives, crosstabs. And like I said before, it doesn't really matter what you do here. What does matter is on the cells, and to click on it and make sure you click on these percentages buttons so you can answer the questions. Don't worry about the chi-square. I was just kind of introducing you to that. I won't ask you a question about that just yet. This question, they wanted to know the mean, the median, the mode, the standard deviation, range, minimum, maximum, all that stuff of age. Just showed you how to do that. It's the same place you find the stuff for the skill numbers we did above. And finally the means. Slightly different set of buttons there too. So of descriptives, you're going to go to compare means. Click on means. And make sure the measure you're grouping them by goes in the independent list, and whatever means you're trying to get go in the dependent list. Alright. And those are the skill sets you need to do your homework. If you have any questions, we'll be holding office hours, normal hours. The syllabus is going to change a little bit with the office hours. Make note of it. The big changes will be Monday and Friday. I'm here at noon. That's it. So everything else stays the same. All right. Good luck.